This video is going to cover negative numbers. Seems like a lot of people are having problems with negative numbers. Either they forget to carry it along with the, as they're doing the problem, or they don't know how to handle it when they're adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. It's almost like people think that negative numbers don't exist, that they're imaginary or something. In fact, there is something called imaginary numbers, but negative numbers aren't those. We'll discuss imaginary numbers in a different video. But the best way to describe what negative numbers is to discuss your bank account. Let's say in your bank account you have $100. So I'll write $100 for your balance. And you go out and buy something and you write a check for $150. So that's going to go in your withdrawal column. So what is your balance going to be? I need to subtract $150 from your current balance of $50 or $100. So basically, to take away 150, it's not going to be zero. You're going to be in the, in the hole. You're going to be owing more than you have. So it's actually going to be, negative $50. It's going to be $50 in the hole. When you go in deposit, $50. You're going to add 50 to your negative 50, can give you back to 0. So we can think of negative numbers as a negative balance in your checking account. So basically it's that I owe $50. I don't have any money. In fact, I have no money. I'm broke. And I owe $50. Alright, to see a clearer picture of negative numbers, the best thing to do is to look at the number line. With your number line, you get 0 in the middle. To the right, you have positive numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And to the left, you have negative numbers. You got negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. So as you're going down, on either side of 0, you get 1, and the numbers get bigger as you go either direction. But as you go to the left, you get, more negative. So negative 100, you're in the hole $100 versus negative 5, you're in the hole $5. Now, a number is bigger if it's farther to the right on the number line versus the other number. And a number is smaller if it's farther to the left on a number line. So let's take a look at the number 1 and the number 4. Which is greater? Now we know 1 is here on the number line versus 4 over here. So the one on the right, farther to the right, number 4, is a bigger number. So 1 is less, so it's going to be 1 is less than 4. Let's look at negative 1 and negative 4. And negative 4 is over here on the left versus negative 1. So negative 1 is farther to the right, so that's going to actually be greater than negative 4. So number farther to the right on number line is the bigger number. Now when you're adding, you're doing kind of addition problem, you're going to be moving to the right on the number line. So let's take a look at 1 plus 3. I'm going to start at 1. I got to move to the right 3 places. 1, 2, 3. So I'll end up at 4. So 1 plus 3 equals 4. If I take a look at negative 1 plus 3, I'm going to start at negative 1. I'm going to move to the right 3 places. 1, 2, 3. Give me a positive 2. I can also switch around to be 3 minus 1. It's going to be the same thing. I just basically changed the order of these two numbers. So it's going to be 3 minus 1 is 2. So you can also think of it as that. Alright, let's take a look at negative 3 plus 5. So I'm going to start at negative 3. I'm going to move to the right 5 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to give me 2. And again, I can turn this around to be 5 minus 3. Makes it a little easier to understand. You get the same answer. Okay, let's take a look at another one. We got 2 plus a negative 3. Now if it was 2 plus 3, I would start at 2 and go over 3 to give you 5, but here we got a negative 3, so I'm going to do the opposite. We're going to go 2, we're going to move to the left 3 places, 1, 2, 3, to give you negative 1. Now this is the same as, I can switch them around, be negative 3 plus 2. You know, I can start at negative 3 and move 2 places to the right. I end up in the same spot at negative 1. Now when you're subtracting, you're going to move to the left on the number line. So if I look at 4 minus 3, I'm going to start at 4, and I'm going to move to the left 3 places. 1, 2, 3. They give me 1. So again, subtracting, you move to the left. And this one we have 3 minus 4. So again, I start at 3. I move to the left 4 places. 1, 2, 3, 4. They give me negative 1. Okay, let's take a look at 2 minus 5. I'm going to start at 2. I'm going to move to the left 5 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I end up at negative 3. Again, I could switch around and be negative 5 plus 2. It's going to equal the same thing. Okay, let's take a look at negative 1 minus 3. So again, I'm going to start at negative 1 and move 3 places to the left. 1, 2, 3. I end up at negative 4. Let's take a look at this problem. This one's a little different. We have 3 minus a negative 2. You know, normally if I start at 3 and I'm going to subtract 2, I'll move to the left 2 places. But since I got a negative, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to move to the right 2 places to give me 5. Now whenever you have 2 negatives in the middle like this, 3 minus a negative 2, it basically reduces to 3 plus 2. So whenever you see that combination, you can go ahead and change it to, 3 plus 2 instead, to make it a little bit easier. Now if we look at this one, negative 2 minus negative 3, similar to the last one, where you get 2 negatives in the middle here. So we start at negative 2. Now instead of going left 3 places, we need to go to the right 3 places. So 1, 2, 3 gives me a positive 1. And again, I can make it negative 2 plus 3. That's what it reduces to. Basically, 2 negatives in a row like here makes it a positive. So there are basic rules when you're adding and subtracting dealing with negative numbers. If both have the same sign, you're going to disregard the sign and just add the two numbers together just like they were positive, and place the common sign in front of the answer. So let's look at a few examples. Let's say we had 5 plus 9. So both of these numbers are positive. So we're just going to add the two numbers together. 5 and 9 is 14. And since both are positive, the answer would be positive. Now we take a look at negative 5 minus 9. Here they're both negative. But we're going to disregard the sign for a second here. We're just going to do 5 plus 9. 5 plus 9 is 14. And their common sign is negative, so the answer is going to be negative. If we look at 3 plus 5, both are positive, so the answer is going to be 8. Common sign is positive, so it's going to be positive 8. And remember, when you have no sign in front of it, that means positive. So it's basically shorthand for positive. You don't put the plus sign in front of it, you just leave it no sign in front of it. So if we have negative 3 minus 5, disregard the signs, just do 3 plus 5, which is 8, and put the common sign in front of it. So that gives you negative 8. Now, dealing with adding and subtracting, if it's opposite signs, you're going to disregard the sign and take the larger number and subtract the smaller from it. Then take the sign of the larger, and that's going to be the sign of your answer. To see a few examples of that, we're going to take negative 5 plus 9. So I'm going to take the larger number. 9 is bigger than 5. So I'm going to do 9 minus 5, which is going to be 4. And I'm going to use the sign of the larger number. Not positive 9 was the larger number, so the answer is going to be positive 4. Now if I do negative 4 plus 8, I'll take the larger number 8, take away the smaller, 4, 8 minus 4 is 4, the sign of the larger number, which is positive 8, so the answer is going to be positive 4. Now if I do 9 minus 12, we got opposite signs, positive 9, negative 12. I'm going to take 12 minus 9, which give us 3. I'm going to take the sign of larger. 12 is a large number and it's negative, so the answer is going to be negative 3. Now if I look at negative 15 plus 8, I'm going to take the large number 15, take away the smaller 8, give me 7. Now 15 is the larger number, 15 versus 8, and 15 is negative, so the answer is going to be negative. So negative 15 plus 8 is negative 7. And if you want to check, you can use these on a number line, and you can see how it works. Now there's this different set of rules when you're multiplying and dividing. So these are different rules versus when you're just adding or subtracting. So when you have an even number of negatives that you're multiplying or dividing, the answer will be positive. If you have an odd number of negatives, the answer will be negative. Alright, so let's take a few examples to kind of understand how that works. So let's have positive 2 times positive 3 times positive 4. So I'm just going to add and multiply the numbers together. 2 times 3 times 4. So 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 4 is 24. And there's no negatives in any of those numbers, so the answer is going to be positive. Now if I have 2 times negative 3 times 4, We know that 2 times 3 times 4 is 24. And we have one negative. We have an odd number of negatives, so the answer would be negative. Now if we take positive 2 times negative 3 times negative 4, we know it's going to be 24. We have a 2 negatives, so an even number, so our answer is going to be positive. So basically, a pair of negatives is going to cancel each other out. So it ends up with a positive answer. Now if we look at negative 2 times negative 3 times negative 4, so we know it's going to be 24. We have 3 negatives. That's an odd number. 3 is an odd number. So our answer is going to be negative. Basically, pairs of negatives are going to cancel each other out. We get one left over, so the answer is going to be negative. Let's take a look at a few more. If I have negative 7 times 8, I know 7 times 8 is 56. I have one negative, so the answer is going to be negative 56. I have negative 6 times negative 5. I know 6 times 5 is 30. And 2 negatives are going to cancel each other out to give you positive 30. Now if I have negative 1 times 7 times 8, 7 times 8 is 56. 56 times 1 is still 56. And I got one negative, so the answer is going to be negative. If I take negative 1 times negative 7 times 8, so I know that's going to be 56. And I got 2 negatives and they cancel each other out to give me a positive 56. Now the same rules apply when you're dividing. We have 56 divided by negative 7. 56 divided by 7 is 8. I got one negative, so the answer is going to be negative. If I had negative 56 divided by negative 7, that's going to be 8. And 2 negatives are going to cancel each other out, so the answer is going to be positive 8. So if I had negative 30 divided by 5, and that's going to be 6. And if it's one negative, the answer is going to be negative. So those are the rules for adding and subtracting, multiplying and dividing with negative numbers. So let's kind of summarize what we've done so far. So dealing with addition and subtraction, if they had the same sign, you're going to add the two numbers together, just like they were positive, and place a common sign in front of the answer. Now dealing with addition and subtraction, if they have opposite signs, you're going to disregard the sign, take the larger and subtract the smaller from it. Then take the sign of the larger number, and that's going to be the sign of the answer. And when dealing with multiplying and dividing with negative numbers, if you have an even number of negatives, the answer will be positive. If you have an odd number of negatives, the answer will be negative. Alright, so I hope this helped clear up some confusion with negative numbers. Remember that negative numbers are real, and don't forget about them in your problem. That's a common mistake I see with a lot of students I help with math. So be careful with your negative numbers.